Hey guys, Martin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so obviously I know things are pretty dry on global at the moment. The Frieza celebration had a few little things here and there dotted around, but we are very much at that point now where we have gotten all of the content that has actually been announced in the news. We had the Frieza event and the Namek DB story update come out on the Wednesday. And so now we are just kind of all patiently waiting for any news and information on part 2, what that is going to be, because of course for global, whilst we do have a relatively good idea, it's going to be a little bit up in the air based on what JP does and what they decide to do with global based on the sync. We've mentioned that in previous videos before, right? Are we getting Ginyu? Are we getting the part 2 LR that JP gets? Are we getting both at the same time? Who knows? But the big question that I've seen a lot of people asking, of course, as while we sit here waiting for any kind of news or anything, is the question, when does part 2 actually start? Because if we scroll down the celebration info for part 1, which of course we are currently in, we can see that we get all the way down to the bottom. I don't know why these Super Battle Road ones are out of order because they came out on the 7th, but you can see here the Frieza event and the Namek story DB Saga update thing. I keep saying DB Saga instead of DB story because that's the new section in the menu, right, where story events go when they get this revamp. But the Namek Saga DB story, these two events came out on Wednesday, and in terms of you know, things in order chronologically, this is the last stuff right in this part 1 celebration info. So we have had all of the content coming out. The only other thing we know is that we are getting new stages of the Red Zone, the movie bosses 2. I just need to double check in the news because I can't remember if the entry specifically for the Red Zone did actually say when the new stages are coming out, because there are a couple of bits of information that we can see in game that will essentially show when part 2 should be starting for global. There doesn't seem to be a separate entry for the Red Zone anymore. I thought there was when it first appeared in the news, but I guess we can have a quick check on here if we bring up the news page again. Dokkan Info is a very useful site for finding all of this information. If we can find the entry for the Red Zone itself, potentially it will show the yeah, here we go. Movie Bosses Red Zone 2. So yeah, this is when it was first added. Does it mention in here when they were going to add new stages? Just other rewards, event period. No, so it's not mentioned in here specifically, but I believe they're meant to come out on either Wednesday or Thursday of the coming week, which is 19th or the 20th, which would make sense. Of course, Dokkan does this a lot, right, where they just dump drop everything on one day rather than spreading out the content, which I think is still the biggest issue on global. I was thinking about making a video about it, so let me know what you guys think, because like when the games are synced, I imagine if you play global and JP, like there's a bit more opportunities where you have stuff to do. Like if there's nothing to do on global, there might be something to do on JP and vice versa. But once the games have synced and everything's coming out at the same time, if they keep up with this same issue where we just keep having these dead weeks where like one event comes out and then that's basically it for the whole week, I don't think it's particularly good for the overall longevity of the game, but I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, more Movie Bosses 2 Red Zone stages coming out soon. Those will probably end up dropping on the same day, but there's a couple of different things we can look at. Now, first of all, the main one, which I think probably just kind of is the most obvious one, is when we take a look at the sales, right? So the sales from part 1 started, you know, when the banner dropped for Frieza, Friday the 31st of the 5th at 7:30, which is the normal time stuff drops on global. That's in UK time, wherever it is for you, right? That's the time banners drop. And you can see the sales go up until Thursday the 20th at basically 7 AM. This is usually what happens when new stuff is about to come out. These sales end, and then you can see the time is always a little bit different. 31 minutes later, the new set of sales will come out. So, for example, the sales that were on before Frieza came out, they would have ended on Friday the 31st at 6:59. and then at 7:30, new sales come out for Frieza. So with these sales ending on Thursday, the 20th at 6:59, that means that it's most likely, because Dokkan doesn't like there to be no sales for any lengthy period of time, because I'm sure they know there are people in the game who will spend but only buy sales, right? So they want there to be sales on all the time, so there are pretty much never really a gap between when one set of sales ends and another set of sales begins. So if this is ending on Thursday the 20th at 6:59, it makes sense that the next set of sales would then come out on the 20th at 7:30, and of course sales usually drop with the release of a banner. So that right there is probably the most significant piece of evidence that we have, is just the fact that new sales should be coming on Thursday morning, which means it is most likely that a new banner is coming on Thursday morning. So if we switch over to the wiki, we also have the fact, I've shown the timeline in a few videos lately where we've been looking down, trying to figure out what's going on global, and this is roughly where we are now. It's funny that like this MVP 17 EZA is where Bardock's EZA was basically, and then last year around this time, so this would technically be tomorrow since the 15th today, we got the EZA for Prime Battle LR Cell, whereas this time we're just not getting anything here, right? And then as we scroll down a little bit further, this is where the Part 2 LR came out last year, which was AGL Super Boo, and he came out on the 20th. So there's another tick against Thursday the 20th being the release for the Part 2 LR. So we always knew it was going to be roughly around this time. Now, I believe last year the 20th was a Wednesday, so at first we were speculating that the Part 2 could start on Wednesday again this year, and it would be the 19th, because I think the days are slightly out, right? Like the Bardock EZA didn't specifically come out on the 6th. I think it came out, we can actually see on the news here if we check again for Bardock's thing. I won't change the view back over, but Bardock's EZA, yeah, came out on Friday the 7th, so the timeline was out by like a day. So we thought maybe this would come out. I guess to be fair, the 20th, the 21st would be a Friday, but as I said already, with the sales, I don't think they're going to end the sales a full over 24 hours early. So the 20th seems to be the most likely option, which is going to be Thursday morning for me. Obviously for you guys, if you're in the US in certain places, it's potentially very, very late in the evening on the 19th, or potentially very, very early in the morning, like, you know, around 1 AM kind of time. But technically, Thursday the 20th should be when we see Part 2, because then a week later, we'll get this stuff come back, and then the World Tournament, I believe that is still going to be the case, right? So the Bulma Battle Prep usually returns a few days early, so that'll come back to Global somewhere around like the 24th, maybe, 25th, and then a World Tournament starting on Friday the 28th. So that it is over this final weekend of June. So Part 2, maybe we'll get the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks Super EZA as well, because that came with the Ginyu Part 2 LR on JP. But of course, that all depends what we are actually getting for Part 2, which we still don't actually know 100%, right? We could be getting the LR Ginyu Force, which, if that is the case, right, this is the banner that they dropped with on JP. Has Ribrienne featured, which, I mean, the LR Ribrienne trio are pretty decent, with the physical Ribrienne EZA that also came with Ginyu, which, assumingly, if we're going to get Ginyu, we're going to get all that other stuff that came out around the same time. That unit's pretty good. Funny that Bojack is on here. I think Bojack might be the yellow coin LR that I've actually pulled the most. And then this Tech Goku and Vegeta, who I only realized the other day when we were building a random team for something that I don't actually have. But yeah, the formats of yellow coin banners now, 3 featured LRs, a couple of featured SSRs, making the full total for the banner 10. But of course, as we've mentioned in previous videos, there is the speculation that we are going to go ahead and get the Part 2 LR that JP gets, and then I would imagine that the banners are going to be very much the same, or there's the possibility that Global gets both of them at the same time. And it's been a long time since we've had one of these. I think this is literally the last one from Part 2 of the 7th anniversary, where we got the top legendary summon, where there were 2 new LRs featured, and then we had 2 older LRs featured, and then a bunch of other SSRs, so that the total was still 10 featured SSRs. If we're going to get both LRs at the same time, then I think this is what the banner format will be. But of course we have no idea. Hopefully Monday morning is when we're going to get news on what exactly is going on. We had that teaser on JP that I made the video about that seems to be leaning towards Cell Max as a Part 2 LR. And then of course, you know, Global, if we are going to get any news. I guess if the unit is coming out on the Thursday, it's either going to be Monday or Tuesday. They're going to post like all the details and animations and stuff like that on Twitter. We usually don't get, obviously, because Part 2 LRs don't come with a new Dokkan Fest event, we don't get that thing in the news that says like a new Dokkan event is coming or anything like that. So we will have to keep our eyes out on social media for the actual information about the Part 2 for both Global and JP. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I think it seems pretty set in place now that it was going to be the 20th. That was the date for last year. That's when the sales are ending. Makes a lot of sense for all of this stuff to be dropping then. I think the Part 2 LR for JP should be around the same time as well. If we get a new teaser or just a full-on reveal on Monday, then I guess there's the potential the Part 2 LR for JP comes out the day before. But be interesting if Global is going to get the LR as well, whether that means they will actually just both drop at the same time, or whether JP will get it the day before, which I could see happening because, of course, that did happen with the AGL Trunks. They put him on the Freezer banner, so Global would get him as well, but the Freezer banner came out the day after Physical Rosé, so it might be a case that Global is getting the Part 2 LR that JP gets, but not until the day after. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But in terms of the main question of the video, the title of the video, Part 2 for Global should be starting on Thursday the 20th. So let me know what you guys think down below. You're looking forward to the new Red Zone stages. I believe it's the original movie Legendary Super Saiyan Broly and then Bio Broly, so that should be fun. Try those out with a bunch of different teams, of course get them done with the Heroes team on a stream as well. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts on Part 2. Are you excited? Are you going to be summoning, depending on whether it's Ginyu, a Cell Max or some other thing? Are you skipping, keeping those stones nice and safe for the anniversary? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.